I have not been on ADHD medication for 10 years, and that was after taking them for 16 years. So I have had to find systems and tools to use to manage my life, and I'm going to share some of those with you today so that if you are interested in exploring a non-medication life for your ADHD, you can get a little glimpse into what that might look like for you in terms of tools and support. The first thing I want to say is that this has taken work, and I just want to preface with that. One of the biggest things I would say is making your life work for your ADHD, and that is going to look different for every single person. But I'll tell you what that looks like for me. It involves working not a lot of hours, living a kind of slow life. I'm half self-employed, and my non-self-employment job has a very flexible schedule. I can kind of work not entirely when I want to, but like I can come and go kind of within a certain time frame. And if I like wake up one day and I'm like, oh, I can't do it today, then that's fine. I don't have to. That's huge, is having a schedule that's like very flexible. The other thing is in my own self-employment, I do not schedule meetings like very often. Maybe like I will limit it to like 2 a week. Some weeks I might not be able to do that, but I have a strong priority to not schedule a ton of meetings, especially on the same day. I know that I don't do well with a ton of meetings on the same day. I can literally barely handle like one meeting a day. I've figured out ways to work that doesn't require me to meet with people. And if I do, it's usually something really fun and exciting, and then it's like totally worth it for me. That's a huge one. Making my work something that I'm good at and that I enjoy is also huge, because work is a huge part of your life. And if it's something you don't like, that's really gonna suck. I have made it a high priority within myself to find and do work that I like and I enjoy. And if you don't know what you like or you enjoy yet, I recommend exploring a bunch of different things to figure out something. It took me a while. I would say like 23 years it took me to find something before I was like work that I liked. And even then, even though I liked it at the time, it took me another like 7 years till I was like, oh, I love this. Like I didn't love work until I was 30. I never even thought I would say those words, like I love work, but now I do, and it's great and it's fun and it makes me happy and it's so exciting, and I hope that everybody can get to a point where they really enjoy what they do. The other thing I would say that's been huge for me is mindset. Now, I've always been a very positive and optimistic person my whole life. People, when I was like growing up, would always say like I was blinded by optimism, just extremely positive. I'm more realistic these days, I would say, than I was as a kid, but I definitely still am very, very optimistic. And I think mindset with ADHD is huge, because I spent so long feeling stupid and inadequate and like I wasn't good enough and I couldn't do anything right, and I was always making mistakes and I was always letting people down, and I just had very little self-esteem when I came to like working and like who I was as an adult, and figuring out and working my way through that to really like break down all of those things that I had been told as a kid, that I'm dumb and that I can't do things right. And I just kind of like had to get rid of that facade, because it wasn't true. And if you believe that about yourself right now, I'm telling you right now that none of that is true. You may feel really stupid and inadequate and incapable and like you're letting people down, but I promise you that's not forever. You will get through it. I promise. And you surely are not stupid and are not incapable. So that was huge. Being nice to myself, really supporting myself, and like figuring out like I'm not stupid and I can do these things. And really like shame. I feel like so many ADHD people carry a ton of shame, so trying to figure out ways to get rid of that shame was like really, really huge. Very, very important. So therapy helped me with that, so thanks. The other thing I would say is spirituality, which for me is really just believing that everything is going to be okay. And if I kind of have this like everything is going to be okay, everything is working out for me attitude, it really helped me reduce stress. In what I do in my work, nothing is ever urgent. Nothing is really ever an emergency. And I used to wake up every day just being like, oh, I feel anxious about work and stuff. And then I started breaking it down and being like, okay, nothing is really that important. Nothing is ever that big of an emergency. I don't need to put all this like anxiety and pressure on myself to do all this stuff. So kind of just trusting in the universe and trusting in myself that everything is going to be fine. Everything is going to get done. I'm going to figure it out. And those kind of mindsets have really helped me when that doubt does creep in, because a lot of times like I don't know how. I don't know the how. I never know the how. So I've just been able to overcome that by going like, well, I don't know how, but I'll figure it out. And I don't know like what the outcome of this situation is going to be, but I know that it's probably going to work out in my favor. believer. That's helped me a lot, is just my mindset mixed with a little bit of like spirituality and woo-woo-ness. When it comes to like actual tools, like tangible things that I use to manage my ADHD, I would say a huge one of those is being organized via Notion. I make and sell Notion templates for ADHD people. You can check out my website. It's notion4adhd.com. Anyone can use them, but they're specifically made for people with ADHD. I made them for myself. They work so well. And if you're at a point in your life where you're doing a lot of things and you feel really disorganized and you feel like a chicken with your head cut off, checking out Notion can be an amazing thing to do. Or just figuring out any way to get organized that works for your brain. It could be a bullet journal. It could be an app. Whatever it is, finding something to be organized as an ADHD person is very helpful. Going in line with that, I also use a lot of alarm systems. So my calendar, if I do have a meeting, is going to alert me when it's time to leave or time to set up the Zoom. I have reminders and recurring things in my Notion that will notify me based on when I need to do certain tasks. So that's really helpful. Having alarms set up when I need to take medication or need to take vitamins, things like that. The other thing that's huge for me is Benjamin. I've been partaking in gardening for like over a decade, and it's always really helped me. So I know that's not for everybody, but it's huge for me. It helps me relax, it helps me sleep, it helps me eat better. It just helps me kind of feel like a normal person most of the time. And so that's something that I like to use. Going hand in hand with that, kind of something that has helped me in the past that I'm not the best at doing right now, is meditation. Meditation can be really, really great for a lot of ADHD people. And I think a lot of people think like that just means you have to sit in silence. Absolutely not the case. Definitely check out guided meditations, and you can find guided meditations for anything. Are you trying to sleep? Do you need to relax? Are you really angry? Are you feeling anxious? Look up a guided meditation and just try it. I do a little 10-minute that the woman is only like silent, I would say, for like 2 minutes. It's broken up throughout the whole thing. So it's really helpful for when you just feel like your thoughts are consuming you, which I feel like as an ADHD person is kind of a lot. Our brains are just like bada, 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 bada. And meditation, think of it like training your brain to shut up. It's being able to shut your brain up on command. At least it is for me. And the more I train it and the more I practice it, the better I get at it. So that's something that is really helpful. This is also kind of cheesy, but exercise helps a lot. I feel like a lot of times I'm like a dog. You tire me out. I'm going to be able to sleep better. I'm going to be able to work better. I do some of my best and most productive work after I have worked out and showered. Actually, that's right now. I worked out today, finally did a Peloton ride and showered. And it's like, I know that I'll have a great productive work session if I am a little bit tired, like I exercise tired. Something else that I did when I first started my business was hired an ADHD coach. That is a very privileged thing to be able to do. And I know that that is not available for everybody, but having somebody to kind of give you tools to help you, some huge things that woman taught me, which you might be like, how did you not know this already? But making sure your workstation is colorful and bright, or like gives you dopamine, whatever that means for you. For me, it's colorful and bright and cute characters and stuff. Even if it comes to like colored pens and colored sticky notes that you like, anything that can give you more dopamine when you sit down to do hard stuff is really helpful. And then reward systems. I'd never used reward systems, but if I have something really hard to do, I will give myself a reward. In addition to, she also taught me how to break down tasks. So instead of doing tasks saying like, I'm going to do this task today, I might say I'm going to work on it for 30 minutes. It really helps you with getting started. You can also say like, I'm just going to work on this for 5 minutes. If it's something you really don't want to do, 5 or 10 minutes, usually, almost always, I end up working longer because I get in the groove and I'm like, okay, let's go. So yeah, an ADHD coach can be really, really, really fabulous if you're able to afford one. The other thing that I'm still working on, that I'm definitely not perfect, is working on discipline. And that's like, for me, from my understanding, is like, I tell myself I'm going to floss every day. Every single day when I go to floss, the little monkey brain in my head says, oh, we don't have to floss. It's fine. So for me, discipline is saying to that voice, no, we're going to floss. Like, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. That to me is discipline. Being able to trust your own word, knowing that when you say something, you will follow through. And I think that is like a muscle that you can train. I didn't grow up with discipline. My parents let me quit everything anytime I wanted. Anytime I didn't want to do something, they let me quit. So I grew up with zero discipline, and I had to teach myself as an adult how to be disciplined. My husband, he is the most disciplined man I've ever met in my entire life. He can do anything. You tell me he has to wake up at 5 a.m., like he's going to go do it. He is really, really great at discipline. His parents were better than mine in that way, but I never had discipline, so I had to learn it. And it's a muscle, and I'm working on it, and It's hard and takes a lot of work, but I'm getting better. And if you want to start building your discipline, I suggest keep one promise to yourself every day. Just one small thing. It doesn't have to be the same thing every day, or maybe you want it to be the same thing every day, but pick one small thing and say, I'm going to do this, and then do it. And that for me is how I work on building my discipline muscle. And it does get easier. It's easier now for me to say no to the stupid little voice in my head that tells me not to floss than it was a year ago when I first started. A year ago when I first started, I had like a 50-50 or less win rate. When that little voice would say, we don't need to floss, it won a lot of times, and I had to work on it. We're getting better, but we're still not perfect, okay? This is about 1% every day, right? 1% better every day, not perfection. I don't strive for perfection in anything in my life because it's just not attainable to me. I just am like, good enough, whatever. The last thing that really helps me with my ADHD is my support system. And my support system for me is my family, my husband, and my online friends. I have friends in real life. I just don't see them often. My husband is very supportive in that he cooks and he cleans a lot. So I have somebody at home that kind of is like making sure that I'm eating good food, and we kind of help each other out in that sense. But anyways, that is a great support system because I hate cooking dinner. I don't want to cook dinner. I don't want to cook lunch. I don't want to make breakfast. I drink a yogurt every single day. Chobani complete. They're great. But anyways, my husband is a very, very good support system for me. He lifts me up. He keeps me on track. He makes sure I go to bed at the right time. He makes sure that I don't sleep in too late. Like, he's kind of my person who helps make sure that I stay doing all the things that I'm doing. He's really great. We are a great team. We're also high school sweethearts. So we've been at this for like 15 years now. We got it down. We are super good. The other thing is I live very close to my parents. Well, my family. I live within a 10-minute drive to my parents and one of my sisters, and my other sister lives in the same state, just like 2 hours away. I also work with my family heavily. So I work very closely with my mom. I work very closely with my dad. I get to see them probably multiple times a week at work. That's something that for me is huge. It's just really nice to see your parents. I lived away from them for like 6 years and it was hard. So I really love being able to see them all the time. So that's really huge. And then going back to my online community, I have always found a way to have online community even before online communities were like a huge thing. And I think it's so important. And right now I run a Discord for Notion and ADHD, but you don't have to like be super into Notion to come and join. You also don't have to be diagnosed with anything or even suspect you have anything. It is just a really like tight-knit community of people. And one of the reasons why I think it's so important as an ADHD person to have these online communities that you can go to is because for the first time in my life, when I met like other people with ADHD was online, and to hear other people be like, I struggle with that, I went through that, I understand what that's like, is huge, because you go through your whole life literally feeling like nobody knows what you're going through and you're kind of an alien. At least for me, like when I was in high school and stuff, I didn't know a single other person with ADHD. Having an online community where you can talk to people and be like, this is what I'm going through, this is what I'm struggling with, and for other people to be like, oh my gosh, me too, and this is how I helped myself, or this is what I did, is huge. It's so powerful. And so I think if you're not able to have like a massive support system, having a small support system that is really good in the sense that they understand you can be really powerful. So please come and join the Discord. The link is on my website, again, notion4adhd.com. If you want to come and join the Discord, we would love to have you. It's a really good place. It's full of like friendship and fun and events and support and accountability and productivity and all kinds of good stuff. And we can help you with Notion if you want. Those are the things that help me with my ADHD and help ensure that I live a very happy, kind of stress-free, easy life. Not that I don't struggle, because I definitely do struggle, but I tend to have this very positive mindset that lets me not focus on my struggles a lot, because I tend to focus on my achievements over my shortcomings and really kind of do the work to, here's my shortcoming, how can I like meet myself halfway to ensure that like my life is easier. The end goal for me is easy life on easy mode. That is what I'm trying to achieve. I feel like I've done a really good job so far. I don't know if it'll always be this way, but that's like, if you're gonna do ADHD without meds, try to figure out how can I make my life easier. And maybe meds is the answer right now. A lot of these work great in tandem while you are on meds. It doesn't have to be one or the other. That's just my personal story. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions or want to know more about this, feel free to let me know in the comments, and I really hope to see you around. Bye, friends.